This woman in this cafe was on the packet. She just actually said these sisters was too loud or whatever, whatnot. But a lot of people was making noise too. For real though, but she ended up messing with the sisters instead. For real though. And she was just up there saying they should keep it down or whatever, whatnot. And one of the sisters said, money is green just like hers. And she said, what I'm saying, she just called her a stupid nigga or whatever, whatnot. For real though. So yeah, I mean shoot, no fight didn't occur or nothing like that. But she ended up on those lady stupid niggas because she just wanted to, and that's on bro. Anyway, now these parents is suing the school in Iowa because they child got in trouble going through some racist bullying or whatever whatnot, and they didn't want to defend the child. They just wanted to accuse the child for getting bullied or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And that's some crazy stuff, gang. That's crazy as ever. For real though. This kid is in the 3rd grade or whatever whatnot, and they don't want to protect the kid from getting bullied or whatever whatnot. They just want to treat the kid that got bullied as the person that did it or whatever whatnot. And that's on bro. I don't know. Anyway, there's one cop actually broke into this woman's house, and he took her to jail on fabricated charges or whatever whatnot. The charges got dropped or whatsoever or whatnot, and they didn't tell this woman that the charges got dropped in January 2022 or whatever whatnot. They kept her in there for extra months or whatever until they let her out. And that's some messed up stuff, gang. And that's on bro. Anyway, so this kid, end up getting shot up for protecting a child from getting bullied or whatever. He was only 16 years old or whatever whatnot. And yes, he was protecting a child from getting bullied. But they just pulled the blades out and blades him down. And that's on bro. That's some more crazy stuff. For real though, that's really crazy. This stuff is getting out of hand. For real though. Anyway, now this one cop end up trying to mess with this woman, but the woman was sleep on the grass or whatever whatnot, and they said she was sleep on the ditch, and the people saw the woman, called the police or whatever whatnot. Now saying she had little too much to drink or whatever whatnot. She just wanted to keep on going to sleep or whatever. I mean shoot, the lady was asleep. She wasn't actually just out of it or whatever whatnot. And because she started moving or whatever. Whenever the officer touched her or whatever whatnot, tried to wake her up, she woke up, put her head over her face or whatever whatnot. And when the cop actually try to get her up, they was trying to take her to the hospital or whatever. She started hitting she hit the officer, she hit the EMT or whatever whatnot. And that's some crazy stuff. When she bit him, you know what I'm saying, that was the last straw, you know what I'm saying? They was you know what I'm saying, the police just actually had her get escorted out to the squad car on the gurney or whatever whatnot, and they put her in the squad car or whatsoever and whatnot. It's crazy as ever, you know what I'm saying? But for real though. And then when they actually got to the police department or whatever whatnot, she was up there that's freaking out that she messed up because she really did or whatever whatnot. And he was actually just losing it or whatever whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Just just up there whining and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? And she was breathing heavily or whatever whatnot because she had asthma or whatever whatnot, you know what I'm saying? But when she like, when it clicked in or whatever, like right after she kicked that, like, cage on the officer, and he just like, put hands on her and put her down, like, you know what I'm saying, like, don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Or whatever when I see, like, start weeping around them. But yeah, they were supposed to take her to the hospital first before, like, doing that or whatever. But they skipped the hospital instead. And that's some crazy stuff, gang. But they took it easy on her. Like, you know what I'm saying? They was like, paying like 6 charges on her. But she pleaded guilty. So they like, actually like hit her up with 2 years of community service and dropped off 4 of the other charges. And that's on bro. Anyway. Now this cop, like, actually, like, was up there trying to, like, actually, like, talk to this brother or whatever whatnot, because he said he, like, skipped, like, ran a stop sign or whatever whatnot with his bike or whatever, like, rolled down the road, side of the street or whatever whatnot, you know what I'm saying? For real though. And like this like teenager, you know what I'm saying, actually just like, was asking the officer why he stopped him or whatever whatnot. And like, you know what I'm saying, the brother, he like went on his way or whatever whatnot. So the cop like, got like, so defensive or whatever whatnot. Not saying, and like, he was just talking calmly to the boy or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And then he was like, you ain't gonna wanna be here when my partner gets here because it's going down. Real though. Anyway, so it was like, 5 minutes past or whatever whatnot. Real though. So he was like, up there just talking to the police, talking to the cop or whatever whatnot. And he like, actually knew his name. He knew who he was talking to. For real though, because like that cop be doing a lot of stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying, harassing the neighbors and all that stuff. And he was just protecting his neighbor. You know what I'm saying? His name was like Sloan or whatever. He was protecting his neighbor or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? For real though. And like his like, partner showed up when he was about to leave, and then next thing you know, the cop just like went to aggressive mode, and he started saying, "What you saying about my kids, bitch? What you saying about my kids?" Like, oh my goodness, it was crazy as ever. You know what I'm saying? But he just left. He left. He said he was free to leave or whatever whatnot, and that's like, some crazy stuff or whatever whatnot. For real though. But he kept on harassing this boy. You know what I'm saying? He kept on harassing him and harassing him and harassing him. So he talked to me, and he like, let his mom know or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They went to go complain or whatever, and they taking it light on this officer. And he like, what I'm saying, actually like, was talking to him, and that's for the when they was in the vehicle or whatever whatnot. Because like, why didn't they just wanted to mess with him or whatever whatnot? And he started ribbing the cups. He be like, "Your hair is gray and he is fat." I can't stop laughing when he said that, you know what I'm saying? But for real though, they still took it like on his officer, although he was harassing his boy or whatever whatnot. Even harassing his family like that. And that's some crazy stuff, and that's on bro. Anyway, now this woman like actually called like, Richard on his phone or whatever, and she was up there like, saying that he was about to get stuff started or whatever whatnot. Now saying that she was like, trying to like, make it seem like the cop did a like, good thing or whatever whatnot. Like, saying like the cop didn't do nothing wrong. This cop just shot, like, just tried to hold up to him and then shot a little thing of child or whatever. And he was, like, obviously, like, what I'm saying? He be out, obviously, just speaking out about police brutality that, like, they do against, like, brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? For real, though. I mean, like, and that's some bro, real though. That's some crazy stuff because that stuff always be happening, for real though. But yeah, I'm glad he's speaking out about it. And she didn't like it. And she was trying to mess with his head with his own nonsense and all this bull or whatever, whatnot. Now I'm saying, I mean, like, shoot. I mean, like, dang. But this lady, like, stood on and tried to, like, stand on business for 10 minutes on the phone with Richard. And she couldn't even, like, control that situation. So she just hung up. And that's on bro. But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hit the bell notification so you see my next upload and my next post. And I make sure I make it the one tomorrow. And oh yeah, you can check out my previous videos if you like it. So long, farewell, goodbye.